In today's quick marketing tracking tutorial, we're going to be talking about CallRail and Zapier, how we can use Zapier to actually connect CallRail, as you can see here with GorillaDesk. That way we are not having to enter in all the lead information on our own. Say you're busy out in the field and you don't have somebody in the office entering everything in step by step and you want to kind of automate some of that in the meantime. We're going to show you how you're going to make your life a lot easier, especially in terms of following up with customers. That way you're not spending all night either A, losing track of customers and leads, all that good stuff altogether, or B, sitting there scrolling through all your messages, phone calls, trying to connect the dots of who is who, or heaven forbid, you actually sell something over the phone while you're out in the field, and then you totally lose track of that information, and now you're no-showing a client potentially.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
So of course, whenever you pull up Zapier, it's going to be totally blank. Of course, you're going to pick the application that you want to start with. For this purpose of the video, I already have it all laid out. So we're just going to go through how it's going to look when you're actually setting it up. So when you go through your setup, of course, you're going to log in with all of your information. And then for your trigger event, you have a bunch of different options you can pick from. Now, this is where I actually messed this up at first because I had it originally where it was when a phone call was tagged, it would go ahead and enter it as a lead for us. Now, the issue with that is how our call rail was set up because we had another company set it up for us. It was pretty much any call that came in got tagged as a lead automatically because there was an automation and call rail set up for that. And I didn't realize it until I dove in to my CallRail account and I seen that. We made some edits and I'll show you guys some of that as well once we finish this part of setting up the Zapier setup first. So like I said, you don't have to really worry about any of this right now. You just need to go and find where it says phone call tag. So like it says here, triggers when a phone call is tagged after it is ended. To receive data about calls tagged via automation rules, keypad scoring, or call flow, use the phone call completed trigger. And before I set this up, we're on version 4 already because we've done trial and error with different ways of doing this. We actually at one point had phone calls completed because if you read it, it's very similar and it sounds right ideally. It says triggers after an inbound phone call has been completed and its recording and transcription have been completed and attached. It contains full data about the call. This trigger should not be expected to be real time. It has a maximum delay of 20 minutes, which ideally makes sense because you go in there, tag the call. Of course, you can have automation set up where certain keywords will trigger that. We talked about that in a previous video or live stream. I don't really suggest doing it personally. We've had that, and that's where we ran into the issues was every phone call essentially was being tagged as leads when they weren't. There were duplicate calls, spam calls, everything was just entering as a lead, which just made it a nightmare to keep up with in GorillaDesk. So like I said, you're just going to scroll down there to phone call tagged, and then that's the option you're going to pick. And then from there, you're going to go into configure. Of course, you're going to make sure you pick the right account. And then after you pick your right account, you're going to go into the test setting. It's going to give you, if you have some calls in your call rail, if you don't, get some calls in call rail first and foremost, of course, get them tagged and everything. You want to have everything set up ahead of time with a good example in your call log because they're going to actually pull a call from your call log to actually test this trigger based off of. So once you find the right call that you want to select, you would go ahead and select that and then continue with selected record. Then from here, this is where it gets kind of interesting because this is where you're actually going to need the paid version of Zapier. Unfortunately, there's no real workaround to this. Unfortunately, you're going to need filter by Zapier. And then once you click that in there, you can see here we filter based off of tag color. Now you could do tag text if you wish. I found personally it was just easier to find out what color our tag was. For some reason, even though it's green, it shows up as gray too. That was where I also had an issue when I first set this up. I thought it was green without confirming it. I entered green. Noticed 1 or 2 leads didn't get entered. And I was like, oh, crap. We got to go in here and figure out what's going on. And then sure enough, it was gray too. So once you make sure everything is right, which if you need to find out how to get that information too, you just go back into the CallRail setup. And whenever you're actually looking at that call log example that they're pulling from, you can actually scroll through all the information and you'll see exactly like what the tag color is. Well, for most of you, it'll say tag color gray, unless if you're like me and you're very analytical about everything. We have different colors for different tags and things like that. Like we have a different tag color for spam, a different tag color for duplicate calls, which you will want to do, obviously, because that kind of is how you get this to work properly, because you don't want the duplicates to go into your leads. You don't want spam calls to go into your leads. You just want first-time callers going in as lead. And specifically to filter it even further down, first time callers that you actually tag as legitimate leads. So you'll get that set up here. And then once you go and test it, you'll see that it'll say, like I said, if you pick the right call, one that you've already tagged and everything, it'll say your Zap would have continued for this test data. That lets you know everything is all good to go. You just hit continue, and then from there you add GorillaDesk in, you connect your GorillaDesk account, and then it'll ask you, do you want to add a booking, add a customer, add a lead? We do add as a lead. You could do add as a customer, and the reason you might want to consider doing that is because, say you do start having duplicate leads or something for some reason like that. How GorillaDesk is currently set up at the time of me doing this video, which is at the beginning of 2025, there's no way to delete a lead in GorillaDesk. The only way you can delete a lead is if they're already converted to a customer, and then you actually go into customers, and then since they don't have a job or anything attached to them, you'll have a lead section underneath of your customer section. You can click that, or you can simply just search for the lead, of course, in the customer section, and then you just delete that customer altogether. It makes it kind of a pain in the butt. So if you want to kind of skip a step in terms of having to convert them as a customer first, potentially, and then delete them, you might want to do that at least to test it out. And then once you see that you have everything dialed in, you can always hop back in here and put add as a lead, whatever you wish to do. At the end of the day, though, you will want this just as add a lead. And then once you add it as a lead, of course, it's going to take all that customer's information, because you have to plug this information in here. Anything with a star, you are going to have to put that information in there. Account ID doesn't really matter, but what I did was just like customer name, which of course the customer name is going to pull from CallRail as well. Hence why it says wireless caller. Sometimes that information isn't available. That's why it's still important to get information that you need, like first and last name, email address, and the address, of course. Those are the three things that, I always still want to get, or at the minimum, get it in the phone call. That way, when we go and listen back to the recording, we can enter that in as well. Whatever is easiest for you at the end of the day. So once you enter all that information in, and from a tracking standpoint, of course, you want your tag name, the source name, all the information you can possibly get, of course. Once you get everything in there that you're going to get with every phone call, then you can go ahead and hit continue. And then from there, you do test the step or publish, or, I already tested it, of course, so I don't need to, but I can show you guys that this actually did go through, because what we'll do is we'll actually go into our notification setting here. And as you can see, we do have a new inbound lead. We click on that and we go all the way down, and we can see our wireless caller information did get put in. Now the phone number did not get put in. That is an issue of me, where I need to actually go back into our Zap and actually figure out where something broke down, because obviously we didn't put in the actual phone number. So we would go back into the GorillaDesk information. Okay, so after configuring with this one more time, we finally got everything all figured out. We actually had the phone number in the wrong section. So we had it under contact first phone, which you would think makes sense, right? Well, actually, it ends up needing to go under here, right underneath notes where it says phones, which obviously makes sense as well. How I ended up figuring that out was when we went over to the test tab. You have data in, data out. You want to go over to data out. And when I scrolled down here, the phone section was empty, which was where? Right below the notes. So then I went back into configure, scrolled down to right past the note section, found the phone, entered that in there. And then when we tested it, we go back to GorillaDesk here. What do you see? Boom, we have the name. It's a Zapier API, but whenever you actually convert them to a customer, it will show you where they came from. And then boom, you got your phone number and whatever other stuff that you ended up adding in there to your Zap. But that is all that we actually wanted to have at the end of the day. So like I said, hopefully this does make sense. If it doesn't, definitely feel free to let me know down in the comments down below, like if you all have any other questions or anything about this. And let me know too down in the comments how this works for you. Do you find that your leads are going through how they're supposed to? Do you find that they're not going in at all? Or do you still get the duplicate leads? Like, what kind of issues do you have? And then, like I said too, before we end this video, I'll show you guys in CallRail how you'll actually want to set this up. So what you're actually going to do is you're going to go into your setting, and then you're going to go under the workflow, and then you're going to go under tags. And then as you can see, you have ones that are already entered in usually. And then you can see here, we entered in all of our own tags. We gave them color codes based on like existing customer, spam, duplicate. These that are labeled, red or yellow, I obviously do not want those going into my GorillaDesk as leads. I only want everything that's going to be actual legitimate leads going in there as, actual leads on my GorillaDesk. That way it's easier to track, okay, this is a pest control lead, rodent control, termite, commercial, and I'll probably add more, of course, as we continue to add more and more services. But I hope you guys kind of get the gist of it. Like I said, if you need further explanation or anything like that, feel free to let me know down in the comments. And who knows, maybe I'll need to do an update video to this. In all honesty, like I said, we've been messing with this for a while. We noticed for the last year since I set the original version of this up, we were getting all those duplicate leads, spam leads, and for the longest I'd either went in there and manually deleted everything, or just kind of let it ride during the busy months when I just don't have time to really care that much. At the end of the day, we're just trying to keep up with the work we're getting, right? So like I said, let me know if this helps you all out, and if it did, do me a favor too, smash the thumbs up button. It lets me know that it did help you all out, and then feel free to share it with somebody if you know somebody who's struggling with like CallRail and Zapier and all this different type of stuff. There's a bunch of more things you can do within Zapier, of course. And it's only like 20 or 30 bucks a month for that pro version. Like I said, that's the only downside is you will have to get the upgraded version to be able to do this. But again, you got to think about how much money are you going to save and time are you going to save? How much money are you going to earn based on being able to track all of your leads that much better too? So, it's an investment in my opinion at the end of the day and a write-off. So like I said, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button, share this video with somebody. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon. That way you won't miss any future videos. And then if you are new to me in general and you want to see some other helpful videos, I'll try to remember to put them somewhere over here for you. And then you can go look and, learn up some stuff and grow your business this year.